Hey everyone, welcome back to another Empires and Puzzles video. This time we're going to review the Soul Exchange, and I'll show you guys who I will be picking. So for 10 heroes, we have these 5 here. I'm going to go over, I think, just the top 3 that I like and maybe why I'm not crazy about the other ones. But first up, we have Odile. Odile is a phenomenal card. Her dance is a perfect counter for like Bernadette. So I think she's phenomenal. She is very old though, like her stats aren't really that impressive anymore, but she can still be definitely usable. I think her rogue class is super helpful. She doesn't really heal that much, so I do think you still kind of need to grab another healer with her. But I think if you are struggling with Bernadette or you don't have enough counters against her, I think she's a phenomenal choice. Up next, we have Mira Sink. I mean, she has the costume, so I guess that's nice, but she reduces some mana, but I don't know. I'm not crazy about this card. She barely deals any damage. The mana reduction is nice, and that's about all I like about this card. If you just need some, more modern heroes with more modern stats, I think she's a good choice, but I'm not overly crazy about her. Plus, like, there's so many heroes that resist mana cuts or negative mana elements that I don't think it's worth honestly taking her. So in my opinion, she's not really that worth it. But up next we have Abigail. I think Abigail is pretty fun. I think you need a specific team to work with her. So she summons that minion, and each hit for the minion will give 5 insanity on the target. It is very coin flippy still. But I think if you can pair her with some hero that also gives you minions, like for example an Ironheart, right? Like first fire Ironheart, and then do Abigail, and these minions will survive a little bit longer then. So I think if you have heroes like that, I think she's still a great option. And it's only for 10 heroes, so I think that's a great option. Thalassa, I think she's a phenomenal hero. I think her passive with the resistance sanity, everything from this, Defenders of Atlantis are good choices. She doesn't really heal all that much, but the ailment block is a nice touch. So I think if you need some healers, she's definitely a pretty good choice to go with. And then lastly is Akhmus. I think he's really good for Rush Warriors. That's pretty much only where I would use him. So if you like with Odile, if you need some Bernadette counter, I think he's phenomenal. Very modern stats for the most part. So yeah, I think he's a phenomenal choice. If I had to pick out of here, I would probably go either with Odile, Thalassa, or Akhmus. Those 3 seem like the most versatile and the most modern heroes that I see people still using. For 15 heroes, we have slightly better options. First, we have Swiftpaw. He is a sniper that silences for 3 turns, so good, also against Bernadette. And I think has, summons a minion, but, I'm not crazy. I think the family is nice with the reduction in healing, but I don't know. He doesn't do enough for me to, want him all that much. Up next, we have Silverpaw. I think Silverpaw is a phenomenal card. I don't really care about, the curse is nice. It's pretty high damage. I do have 2 Silverpaws fully maxed. I don't use him every war. I think it is very, specific teams that you need to go up against for you to use Silverpaw, but I think still a phenomenal card. But I think that last greed is the best part about Silverpaw. Up next is Ayakantha. I think she's decent. Old stats though, but she's a pretty hard hitter. So I think she's a good choice, especially with this guard rally, removes the wither with all the Maguses that we see now. I think she's a good option here. Next is Poppet. I don't think it's even worth talking about Poppet. I think because he's so old, doesn't really do that much damage anymore. The soft skin is nice, but nothing too crazy. And then lastly, I think the best card out of all of these is Peregrine. He's still a pretty hard hitter. That enhanced dodge is very, very useful. So I think out of this this 15 hero selection, I think Peregrine and Silverpaw are like the top 2 choices. Silverpaw is such a unique mechanic, and I think he's the only one that has that lasting greed. So I think phenomenal card. I would probably go with Silverpaw, just because I have 2 and I really like when I use him. And then lastly, we have the 20 heroes. So we have Gul'dan. Gul'dan, I think he hits pretty decent. I think about like 900 per hit. But I don't know. I don't think he does enough compared to all the other slimes that exist in the game. he hits decently, puts some nice 40% health fiends, but just too little is going on, in my opinion, for me to want him. The next one is Wealthrow. I think she's phenomenal. I think she heals up to 50%, and then 1,300 boosted health over 3 turns, so that's pretty big. She's a phenomenal card. I think this Beowulf family passive is phenomenal. She heals a lot, and the over healing is really good as well. I think this is like one of the best healers that we have in this Soul Exchange. Up next we have Domi Ventus. He's pretty good. He hits really hard and gives some of that burn. I think the only thing that helps him is this resist insanity. He's useful for those ancient terror wars, but other than that, I don't really love him all that much. If you need a hitter, I think he's a solid choice. But if you're going to go for a hitter, I think Hrothgar is a much better option. He's also from the Beowulf family. He never misses his targets. He does a lot of damage. He cuts their mana, gives a negative mana ailment as well. I think he's just a phenomenal card. I use him almost every war, so very useful. I highly recommend Hrothgar if you do not have him already. Then lastly, we have Maegwyn. I think she's a pretty decent healer, for 50% health and some boosted health as well, over 4 turns. So I think she functions pretty similarly with Wealthrow. I would still go Wealthrow over Maegwyn, I think. So I think in terms of my top 3, I think. Or I think there's only 2 really good ones that I like, which is Wealthrow and Hrothgar. So I think I would go with either one of those 2. That's my recommendation for you guys. I personally will be going with Wealthrow. I think she's a very great healer, and I always just never have enough healers. So she's definitely the card that I'm going to go with. So yeah, let me know in the comments which Soul Exchange you decided to go with, and what other ones you think are great options, and do you think that Silverpaw is a great steal only for 15 heroes, or should he have been for 20 or for 10? So let me know in the comments who you picked and what you think about the Soul Exchange. All right, thanks.